Welcome again. This week we have 3 celebrations in the house where I'm living, with 3 of the brothers celebrating 55 years since ordination to missionary priesthood. One served in Korea, the other is serving in the Philippines, and the other served in Brazil. And it coincides with 2 texts that are very, very relevant to this same theme. The one was yesterday from Matthew, when Jesus commissions the disciples. And the other is a more abbreviated version from Mark of the same event on this Sunday coming. And it's a beautiful text, and that's what I want to share with you today. Jesus does the rounds of the towns and villages, and he notices, he's impacted by, in fact he's moved by, the situation of his fellow countrymen and women. He says, he describes them as being like sheep without a shepherd. They are harassed and dejected. And Jesus he's moved with compassion for these people. And so the compassion moves him to act. And he calls the disciples and he says, listen, the harvest is great, but the labourers are few. So pray to the Lord of the harvest that he send labourers into his harvest. And then Jesus commissions the disciples and sends them out on behalf of his harassed and dejected fellow countrymen and women. And the Gospel on Sunday tells us what they did when they went out. And that's also, I think, it's important for us today to have some appreciation of what is the Christian mission? What does Jesus send us to do? Because we know we are missionary disciples. And the first thing is, they preach a conversion. And I think in today's world we often think of conversion as giving up. It's not. It's a conversion to. A conversion for Jesus. For the values of the kingdom. For new life. For freedom. For love. And that's what the conversion is to and is for. And Jesus, the disciples, invite the people with their message of good news to a conversion. And the second thing they do is that they drive out devils. And so often in Mark's Gospel we hear of the disciples being given the power to drive out devils. And we see Jesus doing the same thing. Now, I'm not really au fait with devils in today's world, but what I do think of is the fruit of the work of the devil. And the first one is falsehood, lies, fake news, deception, all that stuff, which is just false, and it's against truth, which is so important. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the work of the devil is against truth. And it promotes all those things. The other thing is the work of the devil is division. The devil divides. He divides families. He divides communities. He divides countries, as we've seen so clearly recently. One is the voice. Our country was divided, and it was divided without healthy discussion, healthy debate. It was just divided. And we're seeing the same thing today. During the Gaza war, our country is divided, and we are not debating, we're not discussing, we're not meeting. That's the work of the devil. And the third thing the disciples did was to heal, to make whole. It's a beautiful mission, and not just physical. We've seen they did that. They also healed physically, but they also healed emotionally, psychologically, socially. They restored the unity in families and in communities, in little villages. They restored that, and that was part of the mission that Jesus entrusted to his disciples when he sent them out on behalf of this harassed and dejected people. People who were like sheep without a shepherd. They were lost. They were disheartened. They were discouraged by Roman oppression and by, at that time, a religion that was rather bankrupt. So that's what I want you to keep in mind. The main motivating factor here was compassion. And the fruit of that compassion was action, which led to conversion, to healing, and to truth and unity. Okay, may that be our experience also in today's world, which so much needs it all. God bless, and we'll see you next week.